think I'll rest a while. Rest these bones a while. Yes, I'll rest a while. La 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 la. Rocky mountain, rocky ridge, stand in the prairie, grass and pray for rain. In the fifth pane of my window, I can see the northern star. So dark outside my window, it calms my restless heart. Calms my restless heart. And all the dust upon my boots, and all the endless miles, and all the doors that I've passed through, I think I'll rest a while. I think I'll rest a while. Rest these bones a while. Yes, I'll rest a while. La 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 la. Must have been the solstice light that lit the golden leaves. It could have been the barnyard owl that brought these memories. Brought these memories. And all the dust upon my boots, and all the endless miles, and all the doors that I've passed through, I think I'll rest a while. I think I'll rest a while. Rest these bones a while. Yes, I'll rest a while. La, la, la.
That's so much fun to do it. Well, good morning. I think almost everybody has found their seats and are prepared for this morning's service. Welcome. Welcome. Did I hear that? Did you hear it too? That's all right. Hear what? I don't know. Welcome to the Unitarian Universalist Congregation of Columbia. I'm Phil Turner, and I'm your service leader for today. To those of us who are in the sanctuary, I want to remind you that the service now is being streamed on YouTube. Please make sure that you read the announcements in your printed order of service. Also, please make sure that you read the weekly events that are emailed every Thursday, as well as the unigram that comes out monthly. Also, I urge you to please check into our website regularly. Lots of good information. Please practice the COVID restrictions that are currently in place per board-approved guidelines. Our current guidelines are that we practice social distancing and that we highly recommend wearing a mask. Announcement for parents: if you need to occupy your young folks, we do have toys and books on a table in the back. Today's flowers are given by Richard and Linda McLeod in memory of Queen Elizabeth II. She was an example of love and devotion to her long-lived role as monarch of the United Kingdom. And now let's center ourselves for today's service, and please remember to silence all electronic devices as we listen to the prelude.
This morning, as we recognize the harvest moon above us, our prelude will be Moon Shadow by Yusuf Islam, known as Cat Stevens when he wrote this song. He was young when he wrote it, and he was getting over a very serious illness. He'd lived a lot under bright city lights, and he found himself in Spain, looking up on a night that was truly dark and seeing his shadow cast by the moon, and was so moved by that moment that that image of his shadow in the moonlight stayed with him in this song. It's really a song about finding hope in any situation. And as I've been playing it this week, it's made me think of the unique and inevitable hardships we all come to in our own lives, and how sometimes they lead us, maybe not by choice, but by necessity, to find new ways of being and new ways of hoping. I'm being followed by a moon shadow, moon shadow, moon shadow. Leaping and hopping on a moon shadow, moon shadow, moon shadow. And if I ever lose my hands, lose my plow, lose my land, yes, if I ever lose my hands, oh, if I won't have to work no more. And if I ever lose my eyes, if my colors all run dry, yes, if I ever lose my eyes, oh, if I won't have to cry no more. Yes, I'm being followed by a moon shadow, moon shadow, moon shadow. Leaping and hopping on a moon shadow, moon shadow, moon shadow. And if I ever lose my legs, I won't moan, I won't beg. Oh, if I ever lose my legs, oh, if I won't have to walk no more. And if I ever lose my mouth, all my teeth, north and south, yes, if I ever lose my mouth, oh, if I won't have to talk. Did it take long to find me? I ask the faithful light. Did it take long dropping on a moon shadow, moon shadow, moon shadow, moon shadow, moon shadow, moon shadow, moon shadow.
Thank you, Anna. Wow. Please stand and join me in the Congregational Affirmation as found in your order of service. Love is the doctrine of this congregation. The quest for truth is its sacrament, and service is its prayer. To dwell together in peace, to seek knowledge and freedom, to be covenant with one another. Thank you. Please be seated. Our minister is the Reverend Stephen Robinson, and on those Sundays when Stephen is not in the pulpit, we present a variety of speakers from the congregation or from the wider community. Unitarian Universalism is a diverse and non-creedal religion. We are a covenantal religion, which means we don't have to believe the same in order to treat each other the same, with respect, with equity, with compassion and dignity. Our community is based on deeds, not creeds. As Unitarian Universalists, we side with love, embracing all people regardless of age, color, race, socioeconomic status, physical ability, or religious background. We have been officially designated by the Unitarian Universalist Association as a welcoming congregation. That means we welcome LGBTQ individuals. We especially invite families and young children, and we have a nursery. Now, we encourage everyone to wear a name tag so that we may know each other better. Our board members wear green name tags, and they always welcome your comments, at least we tell them to, questions and suggestions. Now, would the members of our Board of Trustees please stand now that we can recognize you? Thank you. At this time, we would like to recognize any guests or visitors who are with us today. If you are willing and able, please rise and share with us your name and where you are from. Or if you have guests, please feel free to introduce them. Please wait for the microphone. Here we go.
My name is Jennifer. I'm from Columbia.
Hi. Hello.
Hi, I'm Meredith, and this is my daughter, Mary Pepper, and we live in Columbia, and we're just visiting today.
Any other visitors? Visitors, please fill out a information card that's in the back of the seat in front of you, or one of the seats in front of you. We use the information to send you notices about our meetings and services, and we promise nobody will come and knock on your door. Today's cellist later is Sandra Merritt. Sandra's going to tell us a little bit about herself.
Hello, everyone. Phil asked me to do a short introduction of myself, and I thought for hours what to say. Reflecting on my life, I found myself thinking about it like chapters in a book. I decided, since this is supposed to be brief, that I would skip through how I was born and raised in a small South Carolina town in typical fashion of the 1950s and 60s, and the teaching life that has consumed my days until 2 years ago. Although I will have to admit that I had to fight the urge to ask you, the first group I've stood before in 2 years, to have eyes on me, ears listening, brain focused, ready to learn. Those are the chapters that bring me here today. This current chapter hasn't been written yet, but I feel the rough draft loosely forming. I have lived in Columbia just since May of this year, and while unpacking, I came across a meditation book I had used daily some years ago, and am currently using it for my daily meditations again. It's by Mark Nepo, The Book of Awakening. On the day Phil asked me to be chalice lighter, something I've never done before, this was my meditation focus. The daily experiment. You are the laboratory, and every day is an experiment. Go and find what is new and unexpected. This is my current chapter, unfinished, with eyes and heart open to the unexpected.
Spirit of light and life, come unto us. Now we'll have the musical meditation.
I welcome the choir to sing Harvest Moon by Christy Carey Miller. We had a wonderful time together this weekend for our choir kickoff, and we'll be featuring Isabella Trejo as our soloist.
Harvest Thank you, Anna and choir. It's great to see you all back to singing. Our opening words today, I think Sandra, we're gonna have an emergency worship committee meeting and revise our opening words. What is it? Eyes on me, ears listening. That's probably a good way to call the UUCC together. Thank you for lighting our chalice this morning. Our opening words come from a poem by Henry Wadsworth Longfellow entitled The Harvest Moon. It is the harvest moon on gilded vanes and roofs of villages on woodland crest, and their aerial neighborhood of nest, deserted on the curtained window panes of rooms where children sleep on country lanes, and harvest fields its mystic splendor rest. Gone are the birds that were our summer guest. With the last sheaves return the laboring wains. All things are symbols. The external shows of nature have their image in their mind. As flowers and fruits and falling of the leaves, the songbirds leave us at the summer's close. Only the empty nest are left behind, and piping of the quail among the sheaves. I invite our children to come down for a story for all ages. Hey, have a seat. Anywhere on the rug? Good to see you all. And welcome. All right. Phil turned the house lights down, so sorry if it messes up the video, but it's going to help us talk about our theme for today. So, I was wondering if any of you have night lights in your room. Yep. Any kind of special night light you want to tell us about? What kind of night light? A light one? A bright one? Any kind of special characters or anything or galaxy night lights, anything like that? Yeah? What do you have? Okay, cool. Different colors. Oh, a lamp that you turn to 5%. That's very precise. That's very nice. Well, why do you have a night light in your room? All right, because I don't like the dark. That's a good reason. See, the answers are really simple. We complicate things, don't we? Any other reason why? Yep. Okay, gets too dark. Okay. If you don't have a nightlight, you can't see a single thing in your room. That's absolutely right. So I think those are great reasons to have a nightlight. That's why I have one. Beside me to keep me awake, or not keep me awake, and keep me safe at night. So those are some of the things a nightlight does. It helps you feel safe if you're afraid of the dark. Helps you find your way if you wake up in the middle of the night and have to go to the bathroom or get some water or something like that. Helps you find your way and not trip over things in your room. And if you take your lamp to 5% and it's just a small light, it doesn't keep you awake, right? It's just enough light to keep you safe. So here's a night light that we have at our house, because you know I have a daughter named Luna, so this is her night light. It's the moon, because that's what her name means. So I'll show you what her night light looks like. She falls asleep to the moon every night. And you know what? Long before there was electricity, and we had night lights and lamps that we could dim, the moon was kind of like a nightlight for folks. It was a way at night that they could see. When the sun goes down, the moon is up in the sky, and it helps keep people safe, helps them feel safe. It helps them find their way and gives them just enough light, not to keep them awake, but kind of help them look around and see things. And you know, right now is a really special moon because it's the harvest moon. And so her nightlight actually switches to the harvest moon. I'll show you. Ooh, that's cool, right? And the harvest moon comes like when the moon looks really low on the horizon, so it's huge. It looks big in the sky. It's huge all the time, but it looks big in the sky. And then it kind of picks up a little bit of red, orange, that kind of stuff, and it's really pretty. So, I'm going to turn off the nightlight. Do you see, now that we're kind of have a dark sanctuary, do you see any other lights in here? What do you see? All right, sun's coming through the window. That's right, that's one. What if it was completely dark in here? What light would you see? All right, the candles. The lights back there. The exit light, that's important, right? You got to know how to get out of here. Does anybody know what this light is? The chalice, that's right. And you know what? The chalice is kind of like a nightlight for us. It's what we use at the beginning of the service to say, Spirit of light and life, come to us. It's a way of really centering ourselves in worship. But it's also a symbol for us. It's a reminder that this is a place that keeps you safe. It's a place that helps you find your way when you're struggling, helps you become the best you that you can be, and accepts you for exactly who you are. So this is our harvest moon in our service. It gives us those reminders. Yes, sir. Yep, there's a candle over there that we use to light the chalice. So we have a light to light the chalice too. So, yep. And the other candles that we use in the service. Well, very cool. Thank you for coming down and enjoy looking at our harvest moon. Phil's going to bring the lights back up. Thank you. Thank you. At this time, we light some candles in this place, adding to the lights that are already glowing in our midst. And they are ways for us to name our joys in this community, also ways for us to name our concerns. And so we invite you at this time, if you have a candle, to please come and briefly share your joy or concern and light a candle and place it.
Good morning, everyone. I'm Chuck Ashley. Excuse me, allergies. I'm usually a lot more colorful than I am today, but today is a day of mourning, so I'm allowing my husband to represent the color that we usually bring to this service. Everyone knows what today is. Today is the day that some son of a bitches had the nerve to attack our country 21 years ago. And people are still dying to this day from cancers and other illnesses that they have caught from running in and out of that building, trying to help people get out, trying to help save lives. And now they're dying themselves all these years later. So it's still not over. And I'm still angry and amazed and trying very hard to call this a candle of forgiveness for those people who had the nerve to attack us.
We'll follow up with what Chuck said. Our grandson, Tyler Winters, was born on September 11th. And on the occasion of September 11th, 2001, we were at his 4th birthday party. Tyler is now 25 years old. He is in the military protecting this country so that none of those kind of terrorist acts will happen again.
September is National Suicide Awareness Month, and this is a candle of appreciation not only for mental health professionals that are there for people, but also if somebody called you or came to you with a concern, you were there and they're here because of you, this is for you.
Good morning. I am Lee Mingy, and I'm lighting a candle of joy, which does double duty. The headliner was due to be 62 years ago. Earlier this week, September 7th, Julian and I celebrated our 62nd wedding anniversary. And living as we do in a retirement community, we look around and feel very fortunate that we are together, because many members of our resident community are no longer couples. But the feature attraction that pushed that commemorative joy out of the headlines is that our granddaughter, who works in New York City, was given the honor to be her office representative to go from the New York office to the London office of the firm. She is completing the final week of her 4-week time in London. What a time to be in London. We have goosebumps as we think, there is this 25-year-old in the midst of a seismic shift in British society. She's in the middle of it, and she will learn over time what all this means. We are so thrilled.
I'm Kevin McKinney. I must note the stunning events of this week in Ukraine, where we've seen one of the most stunning military collapses in some years. And I'm sure I speak for many of us when I say I hope that will lead to a relatively just resolution of an extremely unjust war that's going on. However, this is primarily a candle of excitement and gratitude focused right here in our congregation, because I'm deeply grateful that we have started our Vote Forward campaign with the Social Action Committee. We have 45 letters that we collected last week, adopted last week, another 10 before service today, which was completely unexpected. So I'm thrilled about that. We've got a bunch of them back already. And if all that sounds kind of intriguing, well, so much the better. Come see us after service. But thank you.
I'm Deb Matherly, and this is also in remembrance of 9/11, but more of 2001, but more thinking about how this congregation and so many congregations throughout the country really banded together to protect our Muslim neighbors and friends from harassment that was totally undeserved. So I'm just so grateful for our responses to what happened back then. Thank you.
And our last candle that we light is always for the joys, the celebrations that are silently held today. I invite you to take a couple of deep breaths and feel and remember all that you heard, all that was shared, the things you connect with, the things that resonate in you. As we prepare for our offering, it's a good reminder for us that this month of September is dedicated to the Harriet Hancock LGBT Center as our Share the Plate recipient this month. This is a longtime partner of this congregation, and we always look forward to hearing about the work and are excited to welcome Matt Butler this morning to share a little bit about the Hancock Center.
Thank you, Stephen, and thank you to the Unitarian Universalist congregation for having us in September and honoring us so many Septembers. I'm Matt Butler. I am currently the interim chair of the Harriet Hancock Center Foundation, and I'm really excited to be here with you guys. This is my second time. The last time was 2020 when we were completely virtual, which was a fun and interesting experience. But I'm happy to be here today and say that the center is fully open. We are back up and running with programs. We managed to survive the pandemic, and the community has been really in need for the services and opportunities that we provide. We are in the process of rebuilding some of our more core programs, such as Youth Out Loud, but we are back up with our transgender support groups and a lot of events and groups, mainly in the third week of the month. But we certainly do appreciate all of the support that y'all have given us over the years and that you continue to provide to our center. And I also invited, as you give of your treasure, if you would please also consider giving of your time. We are always looking for volunteers, and volunteers are what keep the doors open and keep the community accessible. So please see me or give us a call or an email, and if you can assist with some volunteerism as well. So thank you again for allowing me to speak today.
Thank you, Matt. Appreciate it. Thank you, Matt, for reminding us it's more than just the sharing the plate, the offertory plate, but sharing all of our resources, and time and energy are just as important. So thank you. At this time, I invite our ushers to come and receive our morning offering.
We receive this offering, symbol of our commitment to the good work of the UUCC. It's always good to have an object lesson, a symbol when you're especially doing children's sermon. But really, anytime, it's great to have some kind of object to focus on. Really keeps everyone's attention and the ability to take meaning, visual meaning, away from any kind of sermon or talk that you're sharing. We all remember just a few weeks ago that Ivy invited us to throw pieces of paper at each other, which people are still talking about. And so I want you to know the worship committee is working really hard to figure out ways that we can throw things at each other every week. So we're working on incorporating that in. I probably have the easiest object lesson, or at least aid in sharing the object lesson this past evening with a focus on the harvest moon. Even if it was cloudy here, you may have seen opportunities of that light glimmering through. You also can look up some beautiful photos that were taken of the harvest moon last evening. It should be still visible this evening, not completely the way it was this past evening. But what an object to look at in the sky as the moon appears to come low on the horizon, gets an orange glow about it, and really gives us a sense of a spiritual connection to that object that's up in the sky. I remember one day when we were looking at the harvest moon and it looked so big, my daughter said, who was learning about the moon landing in the 60s, said, "Ooh, I think I can see the flag." Oh yeah, I can see it. Like, man, she's got great eyes. But it does feel like it's that close to us during this time of year. It is the harvest moon, which is the full moon that comes closest to the autumn equinox, which happens in 11 days. I will tell you that for planning for this service around autumn equinox and planning for the service around harvest moon, I am absolutely certain that Google or somebody is always listening in our home or watching what I research, because I have started getting advertisements about ways that I can celebrate the autumn equinox and learn more about it and do some research. And I started looking on those and clicking on some things that looked safe. I'm just kidding. I didn't click on anything with the church email address. But I did find some things that I think are interesting, and I want you to know that I would be willing, as your minister, to follow up on some of these so that we can get the full experience of the autumn equinox. 3 things that I saw ideas. One was to travel to Stonehenge and participate there in the autumn equinox festivals. That sounds nice. And Deb, you're sitting up front, our board president. I want you to know I'm willing if you want me to go next week.
and do that, I will be glad to do it. But it doesn't have to be that one, because there's also a chance to travel to ancient Greece. I don't know how you would travel to ancient Greece. But that's what the ad said, I promise. Travel to Greece and participate in the festival that celebrates Persephone's return to the underworld. If Stonehenge doesn't work out, I'm really glad to go to ancient Greece and represent the UUCC. If neither of those work and you're looking for something a little closer to home, then you can also travel to the ancient Mayan ruins in Mexico to observe the annual appearance of the feathered serpent deity Kukulkan and watch his shadow slide down the pyramid that's named after him. So, those are 3 options. If the congregation will just pick one, I will get my passport and bag packed and ready to do this on behalf of you. It's a labor of love. It really is. We do want to celebrate autumn equinox. It's a way of shifting ourselves from the energy of spring. It's a natural move to introspection. The air starts getting cooler, especially in the evenings. Everything around us receives the signal to start preparing for the winter solstice, to prepare for the darkness and the cold and the wait for the sun to stand still at the height of winter, the shortest day, and then move toward the return of light. The harvest moon begins this preparation for the autumn equinox, the spot on the calendar where the daylight and night are equal and the balance shifts toward darkness. A huge moon in the sky should get the attention of everyone. But for the most part, many of us didn't notice it maybe, or didn't realize, or decided that we missed it. And that tells us a lot about our modern world that we're living in, that a huge orb appeared in the sky and we didn't notice it. Oh, that happened. Because for most of human history, this was an absolutely significant event. But you and I, we harvest our food supply under the strips of LED lights at the grocery store. Farmers have the ability to use scaffolded lights to turn their harvest fields into modern football stadiums. And human history prior to this, these modern times, had to depend on the harvest moon for 2 things. 1, to let them know it was time to harvest, and then to give them extra hours of lighted fields to get the task done. I am not a proponent of moving away from modern history. I haven't got the word history on my mind today. Of the modern experiences, I'm not proposing that I'm cutting off the electricity to my home so that we can enjoy the moon at night. But I do think there's a balance there. And I believe that much of our struggle with climate change and all of the environmental impacts comes as a result of our conscious disconnect with the cycles of nature. And as we consciously link our awareness back to the cycles of nature, then our understanding of our own cycles then will begin to deepen. Spiritually speaking, autumn represents the harvest time of year. It's a time to acknowledge growth and expansion as a natural evolution of our organic being. Our lives go through this cycle of growth, harvest, death, and rebirth, just as we observe it in nature if we're paying attention. So this is a season to shift our focus away from what is lacking in our lives and focus more on what we have, to find a way to honor all that we have in our lives. It's a celebration of abundance. And of course, any celebration of abundance in this community, because we are a loving, empathetic, and aware people, also turns our attention to those who are in need. I know ever since we observed the water ritual here a couple of weeks ago, I've been holding that intention and the joy and the celebration and sense of community of the water communion and learning about different water that are important images and experiences in our lives. I've been holding that intention with all of the homes and the families in Mississippi that have been devastated by having no water available to them. When we focus our attention, though, on what we have, then we see ourselves as an empowered resource for others, and it calls us into action. If we choose not to move toward guilt and move toward empowerment, we see our ability to impact change and to use our resources wisely to truly be an interconnected part of this web of existence in our world around us. So maybe as I propose to the younger folks today, our chalice then can become a symbol of the harvest moon, this glowing light that has the ability not only to shine onto our skin, but also to penetrate into our souls. If the spring equinox calls us to hope and anticipation, then this autumn equinox, this harvest moon, should call us to a time of observation and reflection. The harvest moon calls us to pay attention to where we have invested and celebrate the return on those investments. And I'm realizing now that I should apologize for any distraction about the stock market woes that you are experiencing right now in your portfolios or retirement accounts. I probably should have used better language there, right, than return on your investments. But the harvest moon enlightens us to an awareness of how we have invested our energy. And it's a reflection on that investment of our energy. It is a reminder for us that you and I are not an unlimited source of energy. We're just not. Burnout is real for a reason. And because we are not an unlimited source of energy, we have to examine on a regular basis where we are investing it. So the harvest moon invites us to the abundance, invites us to look at what we have achieved through our investment of our energy, but also to see where we might want to make some changes. This is a time to pull our energy in, to pay attention to the trees that are doing the same thing and pulling their energy into their core at the expense of the leaves that will turn to different colors and eventually fall onto the ground and become a part of giving that tree life once again as the soil. This is a time to pull our energy in and make changes, to make choices with our energy, with our values, with our sense of well-being, and ask the question, how do we want to spend our time? How do we want to spend our energy? Are there places that we are pouring our energy that the investment is not bringing a great return for us or for anyone else? And how can we make changes to truly invest our energy in places it needs to go? One of my colleagues said this week, I got off of Facebook because it ceased to nourish my soul. I was like, well, that's interesting. I got off ice cream because I'm just kidding. I don't always make great choices around what nourishes my soul, but I thought that was a beautiful way to name it, to say I'm going to think about what's nourishing me, what's giving me energy, or how I'm investing my energy, and to provide a great return, and to spend that limited energy on a place that I want to make a difference. It's easy for us to get pulled in so many different directions. Spring is a time to just pour your energy everywhere. Fall is a time to pull it in and say, is that working for me? And what do I want to do differently? And how do I want to make changes? The spiritual mentor and Healing Arcs practitioner, Chloe Rain, writes beautifully about autumn, and I'd love to share her words. She writes that fall is the time of year we set up our internal space and make room for what's to come in the next year. We create room for greater visions to grow by allowing the empty space and silence to take hold of our internal spaces. When we clear our internal ground in the fall, we go into dormancy and then rest in the cold and darkness of winter. We go into hibernation and become creative, but not by doing, by being. By becoming quiet and listening to what is trying to emerge from within us. This is the time of year to go within and empty out space, composting our old ideas and using the energy they hold to make fertile soil for new creativity and matured visions. What a beautiful language, and what a beautiful invitation to know that winter is the time of year for rest, when the cold and freezing becomes the healing that sets the soil for spring, the humus that we focused on not too long ago, and our rebirth. The significance of the autumn equinox for a person walking a spiritual path in a spiritual community like this, it's the time of year that we activate our new cycle of growth. We become silent, we rest, and we allow space for our greater vision to emerge. Imagine if we tuned in to our harvest moon in that way in our personal life, to actually empty out the space, to invite rest, something that we don't do so great, to hibernate. My teenager would love to hear that I'm actually suggesting hibernation. But what a great image, to hibernate, to rest, to let the darkness and the cold enter our being and create a space for something new and envision something new. Imagine if we did that in our family life together and got together as a family and said, where are we putting our energy as a family? And where do we want to make changes? Where do we truly want to see the harvest of how we spend our energy? What if we did this in our work life with our work colleagues and focused ourselves, or even in our own free time, personal free time? Or what if we actually truly could imagine our chalice as the harvest moon today and hear its invitation at the UUCC to do the same kind of work? Are all the places that we are investing our energy and our resources bringing the harvest that we want? What do we want to do? How do we want to impact our world around us? Because I truly believe this congregation has the ability to have a tremendous impact in our culture. So if we imagine this chalice as our harvest moon, then it signals us to a time of gathering and a time of reflection, a time of thinking about investing our resources and energy as a congregation, a time to celebrate the great work that we've done, but also engage the opportunity for growth and for change. The key word in all Harvest Moon festivals is opportunity. So let its light guide us into that opportunity this season.
And as our days shorten with the coming of the autumn equinox, I invite you to sing our closing hymn, number 54, Now Light is Less. Please stand as you're willing and able, and please wear your mask when joining in congregational singing.
Now light
As you remain standing, I'll offer closing words around our chalice, this beautiful light that we use to invoke the spirit of light and life into our service. The words come from Chloe Rain, who I was reading from earlier. I honor the light of the harvest moon. I honor the light in you, that is the love of all things. Without your existence, the light of the universe would dim, and all of existence would miss you. Thank you all for being a part of the service today, whether you're in person here in the sanctuary or joining us by video. I'd like to especially thank our guests for being here, for Matt for sharing about the good work of the Hancock Center, and for Jennifer and Meredith joining us in our service today. Give us a chance to get to know you, and you a chance to get to know us as we leave today. Thank you for being a part of our service.
Great job. I could go ahead and skip it right in there. That sounds good. This is William Gillett. He